Welcome everybody. It's a pleasure for IMCA to attend this venue, and a big thanks to Mike and his team for inviting us. I'd like to embarrass Mike now, because I think he deserves a round of applause, certainly for the dedication he's shown in the system. The eCMID system and the accreditation system, the marketing of the whole package, if you like. He's done a fantastic job, and I want to say that IMCA can learn a few things from Mike regarding the marketing side, without a doubt. So, hands together. Thank you very much. So to kick off, we'll start with a very, very brief overview of the eCMID system. You see the title underneath, the Safety Management System Health Check for Offshore Vessels. I'll talk a little bit about that as we move on. A little bit about the eCMID system. I'm sure you're all quite familiar in the room with the eCMID system. The vital role that you as accredited vessel inspectors play in the eCMID system, without your input, without your feedback, we would not be in this place that we are at the moment. We rely heavily on your input, additional help with the questions. Are the questions fit for purpose? There's all sorts of feedback that we need from inspectors, so I always like to hear feedback, as does Hilary. And future opportunities, I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Click. There you go, I think. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, eCMID, Safety Management System Health Check. So the way we see the eCMID as a vessel audit is for an inspector to go on board and give what I would class as a cold eyes review of the state of the safety management system, how it's been applied to that particular vessel. We all know that companies are audited for their document of compliance, so they can have their safety management system for their vessel types. And Flag State also go on board the vessels to audit the safety management systems. But what I've seen, and I'm sure you'll agree, that when an inspector goes on board, independent inspector, I used to be an ex-P&I club inspector, I'd go on board some vessels and find the safety management system in a bit of a mess, to be honest. The way it was applied, that the company had a good system, but the application of that from vessel to vessel within the company varied considerably. So I think it's an ideal tool for a company to use and say, okay, we're going to have an independent inspection of a vessel carried out by an accredited vessel inspector to give us a little update on how we are doing with our safety management application on board our vessels. Like I say, it's surprising the results. You do see variation within the same company from vessel to vessel. Click. There you go. Okay, we all know there's two inspection templates which are regularly updated. We have the eCMID, which is for the larger vessel types, and the small workboat one, the IMCA, which covers the small vessels. We're actually looking at splitting that up into the smaller vessel side into complex workboats and maybe non-complex workboats, because there is some quite complicated small boats out there, which the inspector maybe need to have that little bit more accreditation for. But this is something that's still under development, still under discussion with the eCMID committee. Click. Okay. It's easier just to say click, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
There's always something.
Yeah. So as far as the eCMID is concerned, it's been developed by the industry for the industry. You guys and ladies, of course, have helped to develop this as far as the question sets, giving us feedback. The contractors have assisted us. We've got a very, very strong eCMID committee, as Mike said. We've got Stephen Burt, the chairman from Technip FMC. We've got Class on board. We've actually got quite a big oil company on there. So we get a lot of input from all directions into where we're going to find ourselves in a bit of steerage down this road that we're going down at the moment. And I can tell you now, it's quite a long road. We're about halfway down there. And the more you look down, it seems to be disappearing because there's always something new to develop. There's always new sections to add on. So it's quite an exciting journey, certainly for everybody involved. I think we've got a really good system at the moment. I hope you agree with that. I've certainly seen the standard, the quality of the inspection reports rocket really to what it was in the early days. I mean, when you think in the early days, there was inspectors who could go on board a vessel, register on the eCMID database without providing any form of accreditation and go and do an inspection. And that was, when you think about it, it's madness really, produce a report. That actually brought the existing, the previous eCMID system that we had, it brought it down. It was getting slated by a lot of people, oil companies, the contractors, having to get inspections redone. So thank you for becoming accredited and producing good reports. Click. We have a wide range of resources. Some of you might have seen the new website we have, which is it's actually a good starting point for everything, because this directs you to all sorts of other, you've got information about the eCMID, you've got access to the database straight away, and the inspector's website. Click. Yeah. So please have a look at that website and share it with your colleagues. I'm pretty sure we've put many press releases out, as have IMS, about this website, but it is a good place to start. You'll find on there as well, there's extensive user guides. We're in the process of developing video user guides, 1-2 minutes in length, showing you one specific process on the database, leading you through by, actually doing the database work. So it's making it a lot easier rather than having to read a whole load of text and then having to apply that to the electronic form. Click. As I said, inspectors do perform a vital role with undertaking inspections. You have the knowledge, experience of the vessel types being inspected. The process, Mike said it's a rigorous accreditation process. We have to make it fairly rigorous because, we don't want to go back the way we want to move forward with this. We want to make sure that when an inspector goes on board a vessel, he knows what he's looking at. We've also mentioned the CPD, the application. I've actually registered on the application to see how it works, and it seems to be quite good. Hands up those who've actually using the app. Be interested to know. Okay, there's a few. So there's a few not. I think maybe if you had a look and register, you don't have to pay for this application. It's free. So please use it, and you will eventually start generating your CPD for your annual renewals. Mike also mentioned the 5-yearly revalidation. We had a few questions on that. And just to reiterate, it really is to make sure that we know that you're completing your annual CPD, but it's just to make sure that you are inspecting vessels for which you are accredited. So that's one of the main crux of the issue there, is to make sure that if you go on board a jack-up to inspect it, 5-yearly renewal, have you inspected a jack-up within that 5 years? Yes, okay, great. Have a look at the report, that's fine. AVI status and uploading has been required since 2018. So we all know that, since 2018, you have to have been accredited, and we are only looking at online reports only. Click. There you go. So IMCA's launched an awareness campaign. I think a press release was released. It was released yesterday, wasn't it? Not today. Regarding basically doing offline inspections, what was commonly called the paper-based inspections. We're still seeing them. We're really trying to come down hard now. We want to eradicate paper-based inspections as far as eCMID is concerned altogether. We do appreciate feedback from the last I think the seminar we had was, we get a lot of commercial pressure. The clients are saying, we don't want to use the database. We want you to use the paper-based. Really going to have to strongly push back. And if you do come across clients who are doing that, let us know. And we'll remind them about this, that you must be using the database because it's the current set of questions, and it's stored online securely. IMCA have quite robust cyber security systems in place. In fact, we've just been given the go-ahead to go through ISO 9000. No, we've got the ISO 9001, ISO 27001, which is the IT and cyber security. So that's something that we'll be able to demonstrate hopefully by the end of this year as well. So IMCA and IMS work very, very well together to support the inspector community. I think we do. I receive telephone calls of inspectors. Adam, I'm sure you receive quite a lot. We have a new member of the team, a gentleman called Jack Turner. Jack, stand up, please. I'm going to embarrass you for a second. Jack is our new IT guy. So Jack will be actually one of the main points for the eCMID. So when you're phoning in with any database queries, it will be Jack who will be the guy you'll be talking to. And he's in the process of learning the system, so he's got quite a learning course ahead of him. Oop, there you go. Something happened there. I don't know. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. eCMID is it's currently focused, as you know, on offshore construction and small workboat sectors. But there's been a lot of feedback from the shipping industry. We gave a presentation at IMO, which went down extremely well. There was 3 or 4 governments that certainly supported it regarding why don't we roll out a system that we have for offshore vessels to all other vessel types. Now, I know there is organisations that do, for example, tankers, but there is other vessel types. You could have general cargo ships, container ships. There's quite a bulk carriers is another one. There's all these different types of vessels which would benefit from a safety management system health check. As I said before, I was a P&I surveyor and I used to go on board cruise liners, bulk carriers, container ships. And to be honest, you'd find some quite horrific findings. And everything can be filtered back to say it's a safety management system failure, an ISM failure. So now we've engaged with various industries. I had a meeting with the UK Chamber of Shipping. They were quite keen. I've invited them to take part in the eCMID committee, to sit on the committee, to give us some steerage of and assist us with their question sets for different vessel types. We'll be starting that work, I would say, within the next 2 to 3 months. So that would be quite another exciting part of the journey moving forward. Potential for the eCMID database to be wider vessel assurance database. At the moment, when you look under a vessel, you can see the report, eCMID report or MISW report. What we're also looking at is to give the vessel operator the opportunity to upload other audits that they may have gone through. An example being for a diving support vessel, it could be the IMCA diving equipment system inspection guidance note, which is it's basically an audit that they have on their diving systems. So there's a potential for that to be uploaded. Potential for DP trials to be uploaded. Potential for the vessel's FMEA to be uploaded. So really, a client would then be a one-stop shop where you go into the system and you can see the eCMID, you can see the design document, you can see the FMEA, you can see the DP trials. And ultimately, it's going to assist the vessel operator being pestered constantly for additional audits when they can see that, oh, they've had a recent set of DP trials, let's request access, and they'll grant access, and they'll be able to see the last set of DP trials. I haven't started doing this yet. It's something that we're still in talks with the contractors. Some contractors have said, yes, we might use it. Some have said, yes, it's a good idea, we will use it. I certainly know that the oil companies are very, very keen on it. So we'll have to sort of weigh up the pros and cons. But it is something that we're looking at the moment. Click. So the latest updates, inspection templates, talk a little bit about funding and software updates. Adam will run through some of the software updates. That's certainly some of the higher techie stuff, which unfortunately I don't know a lot about. Next slide, thanks. Yeah. Okay, eCMID issue 11 has been released, as you know. We've had that was a big step change. We included all sorts of stuff in that. We had MLC, Maritime Labour Convention, was inserted into that. Cyber security sections. We've had a little bit of pushback on certain elements of the cyber security. You know, if we find a vessel is not complying, well, okay, it doesn't comply, but cyber security is not going to go away. And it's not mandatory at the moment, but it is going to be. So what we're trying to do is certainly for the offshore industry, is trying to get ahead of the game here, trying to make sure that these vessels have robust cyber security systems in place. And this was a decision made by, not by me, made by the eCMID steering committee to say, okay, we're going to push this. We realise that there's going to be vessels with findings on the cyber security that will not comply, but it's going to push them to make sure that they get these robust procedures in place. Also, we've had technical and regulatory updates within the whole question set, and we're still looking at user feedback. You know, I would like to see more feedback. I would say, what do we get on a monthly basis? 3 or 4 emails? It's not a lot. You know, for all the inspections that are getting undertaken and all the inspection reports that are getting uploaded, surely people who are doing these inspections yourselves must have feedback for us. Please get in touch. It's really, really important, because we can't move forward, we can't develop, we can't address the issues that you're experiencing unless you tell us about them. But 11.1 and 4.1 update is imminent. You'll see it's in 11.1. It's just a 0.1 update, so it's not really a full revamp of the system. Otherwise, it would be issue 12. So a 0.1 rev is really just minor editorials, 1 or 2 minor changes to questions, maybe being badly worded or something like that. That stemmed from feedback. So that's why we're pushing out these minor editorial updates. So findings analysis. I'm going to run through some slides. This is the part I like, because it's photographs of actual findings from vessels, all different types of vessels. And some of you will certainly be able to relate to these. Next slide, thanks. Exhaust system on an engine that was running, completely unlagged. So that really is an accident waiting to happen. It's a massive failure. That was certainly, being an engineer, for my sins, that was one of my pet hates. There's no need to have unlagged exhaust systems. And I think a lot of you will be familiar with the SOLAS. Any surface above greater than 230 degrees C should have some sort of lagging and some sort of protection to avoid it being impinged upon by a fuel source. Next slide. This one was hydraulic pipes. An accident waiting to happen, a potential pollution incident. This was on the main deck of a bulk carrier. Yeah, the pipe clamp was just rubbing into the hydraulic pipes, just waiting for a failure. So like I say, it is a safety management system failure. Cause a pollution incident. Certainly the P&I clubs won't be very happy. Port State Control won't be very happy, because you know you're going to be opening and closing the hatches. These pipes are going to be live when you're alongside in port most of the time. So that's when these issues occur, when you're alongside. And lo and behold, you could have the oil going over the side into the harbour. So it's worth flagging these issues up to on any vessel type. Next slide, thanks. It's a nice set of ladders there. That was in a hold of a bulk carrier. I don't think that needs any explanation. It was obviously grab damage. But you take note of things like this. You look at it and you think, well, it needs to be repaired, you know, because this is the access to the hold. This was me exiting a hold, one cargo hold, and then I suddenly realised that part of the stair was detached. I got a quick photograph of it and then quite quickly disappeared up the ladders out of that hold because it's quite dangerous. I didn't actually notice that on the way down. One of my pet hates, I'm sure it's one of yours as well, is enclosed space entry. Then we're still seeing fatalities. It's absolutely shocking, you know, regarding IMO clamping down on, you know, with enclosed space entry and making it mandatory for certain types of equipment. We are still seeing enclosed space entry incidents. This was a vessel I went on, asked to see their enclosed space entry procedures. Basically, I said I wanted to go inside the ballast tank to have a look. I didn't. I just wanted to see their process, to see how they started getting things ready for tank entry. This was the meter that they used. As you can see, it wasn't in calibration, but more to the fact, it was an H2S meter for going inside a ballast tank, which is not very good. Lifeboats. You know, you all have a walk around the lifeboats. Limit switch there for the lifeboats, just not operational, not making contact with the striker plate. Potential issues there. Oily bilges. You know, if you notice oily bilges, certainly heavy fuel oil this was. There's a reason for this. This was actually on a it was a car carrier, passenger ferry. They had quite an extensive heavy fuel oil spill in the bilges. There was an awful lot of fuel oil down there. One of my concerns was how they got rid of it. I consequently found out later that they'd been pumping the heavy fuel oil over the side using the emergency bilge pump. So that was quite a nasty experience. Next slide, thanks. Oily rags. Fire waiting to happen, really is. Okay, you can see they've had maybe an oil spill or something like that. I can't remember the vessel type, but this was lying there all day, and I actually put my hand on the bottom of the plastic bin, and it was very, very warm. I think we all know about the spontaneous combustion hazards with oily waste. So that was another accident waiting to happen. Interesting one. It's missing the cover for the electrical socket there. Fortunately, it's in the off position. It wasn't on. I switched it to the off. But anybody coming along, say a member of crew doing a bit of sewaging in the area, could have quite easily just got a wet cloth, splashed the hand over that, and before you know it, there's an electrocution incident, because those pins are live when it's switched on. Like I say, the cover's missing. It's been snapped off. Fuel tank. Nice outlet from the fuel tank there. Stop that drip with a Jubilee clip. But it's fuel, and you can see it's still leaking into the bilges. This was on an emergency generator. It could have been repaired in port. You know, I don't know how long it had been leaking for. I asked them, they said it had been last month or something. That was the answer. I said, well, why hasn't it been repaired? Can't go on like this. Next slide, thanks. Yeah, I've touched on that one earlier. Another, you can see it's been recent maintenance. Part of the maintenance procedures when you're doing engine maintenance is you remove the lagging, remove the sheathing. The job's not finished until the whole thing has been replaced. So part of that maintenance is to reinstate all the lagging and the sheathing. You know, that's fundamental engineering practice, which hadn't been followed. This was another passenger ferry, I think, that had some sort of incident. This is some cabling, engine room cabling, as I was walking down the stairs to the lower flats. To say it caught my eye was an understatement. I think really it was a big pile of spaghetti that had a fire. and they had some cowboy outfit in to repair the cables, tried to make them tidy, and it really didn't work. You know, it was a right mess. And believe it or not, they actually had the class surveyor down to approve this, and I seen the certificate and it had been approved. So I had to approach the class and get class down to the vessel and show them their own rules and say, this does not comply with your own rules, so why was it approved? Really, some of the, it's not shown on the photograph, but some of the way the cables had been joined, the cables had been run. Obviously, there's no fire banding on those cables for a start, but some of the joins that just used heat shrink, and it hadn't been shrunk over properly, so there was gaps to bare wires. It was a right mess. I'm sure we've all seen this, the floor plates. You know, it is a pain when you're having to do maintenance. Maybe you've got pipe work, valve replacement. You have to unscrew the floor plates, takes time, and you know, get the valve out, put it back, put the floor plates back. It's very important that these plates are secured, you know, because you just step on these plates and they skid out from underneath. Next thing you know, somebody disappears into the bilges, break a leg, ankle, whatever, and there's all sorts of other implications. The other one of my little pet hates was oxyacetylene. You can certainly see there's no flashback arrestor fitted to the oxygen side. There is one on the acetylene. But for me, what was quite disturbing was that big bunch of oily waste hanging over the oxygen valve. Now, oxygen and oil do not mix very well. So if anybody had came along and opened that valve and there'd been a slight whiff of oxygen coming out, under pressure, 200 bar in the cylinders, over 200 bar, next thing you know, you've got an incident like that. Somebody is severely burnt with an explosion. And that's just a minor injury with something like dealing with oxygen. I don't think that needs any explanation. That was a vessel tied up. I stood looking at that, trying to put myself in a safe position, and I don't think I could really. It was quite concerning. That was on a, I think it was a cruise line. I think that one was. Pumps. I'm sure you've all seen pumps with unguarded, rotating machinery unguarded. I said, "Where's the guards for why haven't you got any guards fitted?" They just shrugged their shoulders. Walked about 5 steps, and there was a couple of guards just hanging over the cable tray there. So no excuse really. Winch brakes, nice condition. See the upper part, the working part really of the winch brake is non-existent. So it's very important that attention's paid to things like this as well. And all of these findings are all valid points which can be put into a report, because the ISM failures, ultimately everything can be put back to an ISM failure, and it gives the company a good heads up to say, okay, we've got issues here, because in many cases Flag State go on board and do the ISM renewal, and they're not going to be looking at things like this. They're more interested in many cases in getting the paperwork in the right order, crossing the I's, dotting the T's, occasionally a general walk around, but they're not going to be as thorough as an accredited vessel inspector having a good inspection. This is me joining a vessel for a survey. Gangway deployment. Ship was just docked, deploying the gangway. Not a good start really. No safety harness. Just next, thank you. So there's your safety harness, neatly tied up there. He hasn't got it on. And there's the rail, which allows him to safely deploy the gangway. It's just not being used at all. About 2 minutes after he's seen me taking the photograph, he scattered back up the gangway and started putting his harness back on. Too late. Captured. What we've started doing is quite comprehensive findings analysis. Because we've got all this data now on the database, we can analyze all the findings, so we can list maybe the top 5, top 6 findings. We've produced a report which is IMCA M0418, which is available on that website, the eCMID Vessel Inspector's website. So you should be able to get that one. And it does give you the frequent findings of, I think it was the last, how many years is it? The last year, Adam?
It's about 18 months, 2 years.
About 18 months of 2 years. So you can get a pretty good picture of what the top findings are. Yeah, it's M0418. It is available on the eCMID website. So in the future, what we hope to do is analyze these findings a little bit more. Talked about different vessel types. Potentially there, we can break the findings down to vessel type. We can do that now. Also, read by region. So there's a lot of tricks that we can do with this data. Obviously, the findings that we pull out, it's strict confidence, but the reports quite sanitized, but they give you some good indications of the findings that's been happening over the past 12 months. It's a little bit like the Paris MOU, where they could come out and give you a list of the top 10 findings. And it's a good indication for inspectors just to maybe make a note and have a look at these top 10 on the next inspection to see if it's reoccurring. Like I say, we've got the facility to do this on the database, pull out all of this valuable data and produce these reports now. Okay. Funding. So upload fees were introduced in June 2019, as you're well aware. And the idea really was to which I explained at the last eCMID conference in London, is to give us some sort of sustainability and to give improvements to the system. I think to date, since the system started, we've spent over 400,000 on the eCMID. It's quite a lot of money. It's taken up a lot of time, development work, resources. It's taken a hell of a lot of resources to get to where we are. We want to continue that. You know, and without this, with this funding, which we're actually ploughing back into the system now, it wouldn't be in the place that we're in today. So really, it's great to see that people are taking this up. As I said, first fruits have been harvested. System updates introduced 2018. We have got quite an ambitious development roadmap ahead, which Adam will be leading you through soon. And I keep going on about feedback. It's extremely important that we receive your feedback, not just on inspection questions, but on the system, on the database itself. If you can see any improvements in the database, suggest improvements, we'll look at them. We're not going to just say, no, we can't do that immediately. We'll investigate and see if it can be done. So please, if there's any suggestions on the database, bring them forward as well. So the latest online updates, we've got the support website launched, which I mentioned, and there's a better photograph of what it looks like. It contains the information about the eCMID, newsletters, user communications. I mentioned the video guides, web and PDF user guides, so it's all on there, and it gives you direct links to the eCMID database and the AVI website as well. One of the other changes we've got is we took on board inspectors' comments regarding how can I perform an inspection if the vessel is not registered on the database. You can do that now. What you can do is you are registered on the database. You can download the blank template, say to the ship that you're not on the database, but I'll still be able to carry out the inspection, but you will not get your report until your vessel is registered. What you can do is download this blank template and complete the inspection, and afterwards you can assign the vessel to that particular inspection, and then the report can be uploaded. Only when the vessel has been assigned to that report can it be uploaded. So that's quite a good functionality there, which the inspectors asked for, and we'll listen to that. Yeah, we've on there we've got the changes to reflect the updates on the eCMID and EMISW templates. So we've got a little bit of an explanation of what's been updated, how it's been updated, and direct links to IIMS, the Marine Safety Surveying Academy, access to inspection history for CPD. Talking about the CPD element, IIMS will be able to have access during the CPD, the revalidation process, to have a look at some reports. I think that's a good thing. Obviously, it's not going to be an ongoing access, but it'll just be really for revalidation purposes on a particular inspector that they want to see. So we've improved vessel management. Some of you might have seen the big vessel trees on some of the bigger companies where you see a complete massive list of vessels. Some of them had vessels that have moved on, they've sold them, some of them have been scrapped. So now there's an ability for the vessel operator to hide those vessels. Just a little bit of housekeeping as far as they are concerned to make it a little bit more user-friendly. And various minor enhancements to address your feedback. So we are listening to what you have to say. So I'll now hand over to Adam, who will talk you through the development roadmap insofar as this new system that we're going to be introducing. Okay.
So I have a question from Paul Potter online. Do you have to give the master the summary of the report if the vessel is not registered on the IMCA database? Yes, so if you're using the blank template, does he still need to give the master a summary of the report?
As far as going through the due diligence of your inspection, yes, because you have to have the, an opening meeting, explain what's going to be carried out, and obviously at the end you have your closeout meeting and discuss the findings and present them. Yeah.
Okay, I have one more question from Ronan. Is there any update regarding the development of software or apps for iOS?
Give us 2 minutes and you'll hear all about that. Absolutely, yeah. Adam is going to let you know all about the development in that area, and it's some quite exciting developments, I think. Yeah.
Good morning, Arno Obing, WNV. I'd like to come back to the question of the person online. But if you fill out a blank template and you cannot do anything with it without linking it to a vessel, you cannot make a PDF, you cannot leave anything behind for the captain as a remark or as a comment, for as far as I know.
Yeah. So the concern was that people would have an offline paper-based template that they could then use outside the database. It could potentially be used by non-accredited inspectors. So the decision was making, keep the inspection templates, the eCMID, EMISW protected, but make the blank template available so that you can get started. So if someone books you on a Friday to go and do an inspection on Sunday, the vessel's not on the system, you can at least make a start, but still with the security for the document and the system.
No.
We will look at that.
Yeah. So have a look at that.
Going back on one of your first slides, is that you were looking at making a third inspection template. Are you thinking about making an inspection template for really small vessels like ribs, etc.? Because we do some audits on ribs as well.
This is what we are looking at. Like I say, it's something that that we are looking at the moment. We appreciate that some of these small workboats, some of them are quite complicated. now, and some of the ones are less complicated, so you have these ribs and things like that. And it's difficult to apply the existing MISW template to all of these. We'll try to encompass all of these, and you end up with a report on a smaller vessel where there's a lot of not applicables. So we want to try and, plus there's the accreditation aspect as well. Some of these larger MISWs actually have sort of DP systems and quite complicated systems surrounding the operation. They might even have small gangway, compensated gangways fitted to them. So yeah, it's something that we are looking at, to splitting it up. But also, if it's split up, it would mean the accreditation would have to be split up between complex and non-complex. I wouldn't get too excited about it at the moment. It's something that we are certainly looking at. We know there's an issue surrounding it, and this was down to your feedback. So, we have listened to feedback about how can I inspect this vessel, and half of the report's just not applicable. There's been other issues as well where the inspectors have actually said, hands up, I don't really feel accredited to inspect this particular vessel type. It's a small workboat. I have my workboat accreditation, but this is quite a complicated vessel that I'm inspecting here, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable. Honestly, that was great. We'll take that on the chin without a doubt. It's something that we welcome, but we are addressing it.
I was asked to cut an inspection short by a client after some significant structural defects. What's to stop them going to try another AVI? Because they couldn't, the report wasn't completed, so I couldn't upload it.
Yeah, if there's an existing eCMID report available, you ask the question, why is there going to be another inspection? Under the same? So you completed an inspection and you uploaded your report.
No, the previous inspection was out of date.
Okay. Yes.
So I went on board after 2 hours.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I know a little bit of background on this one because Phil and I have already talked about it. The key issue being that they pulled the survey, the inspection on Phil. Phil walked away. He's still struggling to get paid by the client, which is another issue. But Phil's concern is that another AVI may be called in to complete that inspection. We would hope that any other AVI would find the same things that you found and would act in a very professional way. So we would hope that that wouldn't happen. The only way that if you had serious concerns that an AVI was going to go there, was going to sign that vessel off and upload a document, that there would be a way to capture that. The only way we would be able to capture that would be if you informed us as a formal complaint about either the vessel or a possible other AVI who may be present on that and doing that work. We do rely on you very heavily to inform us about any issues where either clients, vessel owners, other AVIs are acting in an unprofessional manner. And unless we have, and we will treat every complaint very confidentially, but unless we have names, we can't really then do anything about it. So please do let us know. I can see I've got a couple of questions over here, so let me go.
Just to follow up on that with Phil here, one of the things I have experienced is that when you go on board the vessels is that we can't see when we take out a vessel in the database when it was last inspected. With the going fully electronically version now, would it be possible for us as inspectors to, when we take out a vessel, to review, if not the latest report, so we can have a view on that because we are all accredited now for more than a year, or at least when a last inspection was taken out, like Phil, he was told to leave the vessel. We can see at least, okay, few months ago there was an inspection which was not completed, we could potentially ask into that. That should be possible electronically, as well as having a review on the latest inspection report. Because I have had a similar issue where I've been called out to do a eCMID inspection due to an accredited inspector, but not accredited for the vessel type, has been able to download the report and done an inspection. Luckily, the client found out he was not accredited for that vessel type. So within a few weeks after, or months, I was told to go on board the same vessel to do a similar. Of course, the client was not keen on showing me the previous report. Maybe the database could help us. Not the last many, just the last one done.
Thank you. I think it is an awkward one. Confidentiality as far as a vessel operator is concerned, it's their report, and they'll release it to whoever they like to release it to. You could request to have access, and if the vessel operator grants you that, you'll see it. However, there's a question on the question set, which actually states regarding the last audits, the previous audits, and close out of any findings. So that's a one to really pick up on and say, can I have a look at your last eCMID? And there should always be a copy of the eCMID on board. And approach the master, the chief engineer will say, yeah, can I have a look at it? Yeah, there it is. Check the findings, have a quick look through the report, make sure those findings have been closed out. If not, they're going to get re-added. So that's all we can say really at the moment as far as the access to the reports. I would agree on that. It is an awkward, that could be quite a challenging issue. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't need to see the inspector's name, but
yeah.
you can just see, oh, there's been taking out a report for it. But that vessel, whatever months or weeks ago, but it hasn't been uploaded.
Okay, Adam, I think that's doable, isn't it? To certainly.
In audits.
Yeah.
We never see the inspector's name anyway.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that would be an easy fix. Adam's making notes there. So really what you want to see, correct me if I'm wrong, is when was the last inspection, the eCMID carried out? Yeah, okay.
So we should be able to go online, find the vessel, see the date, it should say, start our inspection on date not complete.
Yeah.
Not who did it.
Okay.
Say, why was it not?
Yeah. Okay, good point and good feedback, thanks.
That will help us when we then go on board and verify the latest report asked by the question.
We can also turn it the other way around. That if you are sent away from the vessel, that there is somewhere a box you can tick. At least you can pay your attention, and if the next one within a certain time downloads the same template, that they can say, hey, something is going on.
We could add something along the lines to that effect. If you haven't been able to complete the inspection, like you say, just a little tick box, inspection not completed, comment. Why was it not completed? And then that's it. We'd leave it as that. Yeah.
But that leads me to a follow-up question.
Okay, just let me take you for, hang on one second.
And I think that a lot of inspectors would agree with me here, because I fully understand that it's the vessel operator who owns the report. But one of the things we saw when the electronic version came into force was that a lot of us was doing inspections on behalf of clients which were not vessel operator. A lot of us are still doing inspection on behalf of clients which is not vessel operator. We have a small challenge here, because I fully understand that the report is owned by the operator, and sometimes you have to get to the manager of the vessel in order to get access to the database if the vessel is not there, so you can download the template. But as soon as we have done that inspection, that goes fairly easy, I believe. But as soon as we have done the inspection and we have paid for the upload and we uploaded it, then a lot of the clients are asking, can you then send me the final report? Even though there might not have been any closeouts or any comments from the operators done yet. And I said, I can't. The only thing I can send you is a draft. Wouldn't it reasonably to boss the guys who's paying our invoices be fair to say that when the report is finalized, when it is uploaded, then the inspector should be able to print out a PDF without saying draft, which can be submitted to our client. Although that the comments on findings and closeouts may not have been done yet, because we are never or very seldom involved in any closeouts. That stays between the client and the operator. So I think that would be a fair request to do. Of course, not before the fee for the upload has been paid.
Yeah, it's something that we could certainly look at as well. It's I don't know how the vessel operators would react, you know, because it is their report, even though the client's paid for it, it's their vessel, so it's ultimately it's their report. What's to stop you approaching the vessel operator and requesting access?
We don't get it.
Yeah.
Because when it's uploaded.
And also one of the other issues is you mentioned the client want to see the report before the vessel operator have had their say, and I think it's only fair that on some findings, you know, it might be spares in transit or something like that. You know, they've got to be given that opportunity to make their comments, and then the report is.
But we're fully aware that the report is not completed by the operator, but we do have a closeout meeting, so the findings are being presented. We have the opportunity to print out a PDF draft, which, in order to help us, have we misunderstood anything, any typing issues, etc. We can easily shoot it now.
In
a PDF saying draft. So when it's uploaded, and the comments may have been made by master, etc., we are fully aware, like the audit scheme, that there might be a closeout procedure between operator and client. It goes back to the ISM HSE manager, technical inspector, whatever, to comment on that. But we already have comments from the vessel in respect of the findings, because we have a possibility to write the master's comments there. So it's just that when the report is finalized from us as inspector, we are out of the game. But it would be nice that we could say, we're out of the game now, but now here is the report saying no draft. It may be that there is a comment on the report saying that operators still have the possibility to comment on the findings. That's fair enough, but it's not saying draft anymore. So it's a final report from us because we are out of it then.
Okay.
So, yeah. So certainly both those aspects we can cover and we'll have a look at. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So let's hand over to Adam Hugo. I'm just going to give this to you. This is how the online people can hear you. So it's not for in the room. If you can keep that outside your packet somewhere, if you put it on time. We do it. It's a good fiddle. And then that just in the top pocket on the side of the area like that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, so I won't take too long on this, but I will go through what we've got planned. The first thing is addressing the biggest request, which is not to have it limited to Windows, to have something more modern you can use. So that's what we're doing with a cross-platform inspection app. Could we have the next slide? So we have commissioned, using the fees that you've all been paying, the development of a prototype. It's a progressive web app, which means it will load in the browser, any modern device, Mac OS, Android, iOS, Windows, whatever may come in the future. We're not going to be saying anymore, you need to have this type of device. So whatever you've got, it should work. Could you give us a bit more? So we're looking at a more modern, user-friendly device. You'll be able to use your tablets. It will work on mobile phones. It's probably not that easy to do a full inspection on a mobile phone, but it will be device agnostic. So the choice will be down to you. We're looking to maintain the offline functionality. So as now, you'll be online, you'll download the inspection template, and the progressive web app, which is a fairly new development, is something that will go offline. It will save your data. And once you reconnect, it will sync back up to the database website. So as you can do now, download the template, go offline, but on a device of your choosing. And we're looking to have every feature included. Some things like PDF generation, you won't be able to do offline, but you'll still do through the app once you get connected. And then once you can do everything that the current application does, we'll be looking to add features, the things that you request to make the application better. Next, please. So we have a prototype, was delivered a few weeks ago. We've been testing it internally. We're proving that the offline functionality works, that the questions work, that the image functions work. And we're nearly ready to put in the full order to the developers, which should be delivered towards the end of the year. And we're looking for testers. So if you're interested in getting involved, giving the new application a try, do get in touch with the eCMID help desk. The email address, I think, should be coming up in the next couple of bullets. So email ecmid@imcifinint.com, and that will get you on the list. Let us know what you're looking to use. If you've got an Android tablet, an iPad, what browser are you using? So we'll try and make sure we've got a good selection of people involved in the testing so that we can get the app as good as it can be. And then we'll be looking to launch that around the end of the year. Next, please. And the next slide. So we've been getting the money in since last June. It's paid for the payment system. And then, as Mark said, we've added new features, the blank template, the IMS access to make your CPD a little bit easier, and various minor modifications. We want the system to work for you because that's the only reason it's there. So do give us your feedback. Look at the things we send out, notifying you with the new features, and let us know what you think of them. Keep an eye on the website. Keep an eye on our press releases, our emails to you, and there's also a LinkedIn group maintained by the Marine Surveying Academy, and we post things there as well, so do get involved. So as I said, the new progressive web app will be coming and will do everything you can do on Windows on all devices. What you'll also be able to do is continue on another device. So if you go off on the vessel, take your iPad or your cheap Android tablet that you don't want to damage offshore, come back and you'll be able to keep working on your desktop PC. And then we'll be adding new features. So things you've been asking for, multiple images. We frequently hear, I can only add one image, can I add more? We're looking to add multiple images with each question and potentially also an image library. So these don't particularly belong with a question, but we want to show this is an aspect of the vessel. You've been asking for it, and that's what we want to add. We're also looking at adding file attachments. So you have to do a scan or a photograph of the closeout report. A PDF with a couple of pages or however much you need could be much easier, and we're looking at adding that as well. And what comes next, you will tell us. So what will you find easy? Please do let us know. Once the progressive web app is done, we'll be adding the new features and new things will come up. So the development roadmap will change. But we'll also be looking to refresh the current website, make it easier to use on other devices. I think Macs have a particular bit of trouble sometimes with the vessel tree, but we'll just be looking to make it more modern and user-friendly. As Mark discussed, potentially adding other vessel assurance documents to the database. And we're also looking at integrating the findings analysis. So it'll be automated. You'll be able to benchmark, especially the vessel operators will be able to benchmark and see, actually, we're having a particular problem in this area. How's the rest of the industry doing? That'll be some way down the line. Obviously, it takes time to do all these things, to test it and to fund it. But we're excited on what we can be doing now that we've got the sustainable funding platform. So I think now we'll just take any questions you've got, particularly on the software. But anything else? And if you could just do one more, it'll give you the contact details as well.
Hi, Ursula Smith from Dynamic Surveys. Many of our surveys are conducted in hostile environments where there is no internet, no Wi-Fi, you're really out on a limb. So I've done my survey now, and I want to print off my findings to go through them with the captain. But with this new system, I won't be able to do it because I can't PDF. How do I get around that problem?
it may be that it's easier for you to do it with your device. Perhaps you're taking a laptop or tablet with you, and you can show it to the captain on the vessel where you are. But that's valuable feedback, and we'll look at if there's a way we can generate. And because it's a browser, you can always do a print off of that page with the findings. Even if it's not the PDF, you'll be able to print off of the findings report, just that section.
Don't forget as well that
that was quite a good question, because one of the things you were mentioning here was the closeout reportings and the discussion on board. Is there any possibility now, when we have done the inspections, that we have the findings, we have the potential additional comments on other questionnaires, that we could have a way to print that out in a PDF format within the system, just those findings, those potential additional observations, which could be used as a closeout documentary, which could be.
We'll look at that, yeah. But please volunteer as well for the testing of this. It's only by testing we can find out any of the little issues and maybe improvements.
This question, what I do, I make a PDF, and then PDF only print the first 5 pages, and then give that to the captain. But it's not in the system. But yeah.
So that was a request to add that to the database system, not just on people's individual devices.
Yeah.
Right, any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Otherwise, if not, let's